Hey guys, this is Brian O'Day. I'm the Executive Director of the Praetorian Project. The Praetorian Project is a family of multiplying churches in military communities worldwide. I am joined today with Colby Garman, pastor of Pillar Church of Dumfries, and we're going to introduce Mike Garlem here in a little bit. But I'm going to start with you, Colby. Colby, we are sitting in Stafford, Virginia.
Yep. In
a building that maybe is not familiar to folks who have been a part of Pillar Dumfries before.
Yeah.
So tell us where we are and why.
Yeah, we're sitting in a facility in Stafford that originally was built as the place where Colonial Baptist Church met for worship for the last 35 plus years here in Stafford County in the ministry that they were doing. And throughout the spring, this past spring, their church went through a process of deciding whether or not to dissolve and join us with a plan to plant a Praetorian Project church here in Stafford County or not. And Mike was the pastor of that church and on the leadership team and was leading them, had become convinced that leading the members of that church to be a part of what we were doing was the best thing they could do for the sake of the ministry, for the sake of the kingdom in the future. Really saw the growing military community here and the need to connect with it, and led that congregation to make that transition. So officially they've voted to dissolve and to join us, and we've got this wonderful, incredible facility here prepared, and many of them now have joined Pillar Church of Dumfries in preparation for the future when we look to plant Pillar Church of Stafford here again in this location using this building.
Good, cool. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself, just a little about yourself to the folks out there that...
Sure, yeah, like so Colby said, well, I was a member of Colonial for about 21 years, on staff for about 5, 2 of which were senior pastor. My father-in-law was the pastor before, so I married the preacher's daughter and joined the church. and so served in all different types of capacities here for 21 years about, and just been in the Stafford area. Was a business owner in construction, remodeling, and things like that in the community. So,
okay, good deal. All right, so you led the church, Colonial Baptist Church, to dissolve and be adopted by Pillar Church of Dumfries.
Yeah, it sounds crazy to, I think, most people. Like Colby said, I got to the point where I felt like we weren't effectively reaching the community. There were certainly some challenges within our ministry, and just through some conversations with Clint and then with Colby, I felt convinced that we needed to, basically we needed help, and the best way that we could get that help was to join with Pillar. Our people became very excited over it. After we had Clint and Colby come in one evening, we just had a great meeting, and there was just a great unity. And as we were kind of aiming in that trajectory, COVID hit, which was crazy, but really seeing the Spirit of God work within the congregation even through that time. The question was asked to me, well, why can't we vote now? And so we couldn't vote right then, but we did a couple weeks later, and it was unanimous. And it's been a joy to see our people go through the Pillar Next Steps class and becoming members of Pillar, and excited and getting engaged in the life of Pillar and the life groups and things like that.
And Brian, if I can just add, I mean, there's a couple things that are really unique about the situation. One, the number of members who have joined Pillar Church of Dumfries and really are getting integrated into the life of the church, and it brought excitement, honestly, to the body, and great, wonderful gifts that are investing even in this time. Everything from worship team to just folks who are excited about the future and excited about just growing in the Lord together. And then also Mike's father-in-law, who founded this church, Mickey Creed, and his wife Barbara have joined our church, and man, they're just so encouraging. They're like chaplains every Sunday morning, just going around loving on people, and just seeing them excited about what the future holds. And I know it means a lot to me, and and I know it means a lot to Mike, and it's just part of, I think, shows a bit of the excitement of making a decision for the sake of the kingdom, and how that can yield like real hope and promise for the future in the life of a church.
Yeah. No, that's good. And so what you were just talking about in the next step class, so members of Colonial Baptist Church went through the membership class of Pillar Church of Dumfries to join with that church.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And so membership interviews,
including me,
you. Okay.
including my in-laws.
Right, so you,
Including Mickey and Barbara.
Right. Yeah.
okay. So the founding pastor,
They were the first 4 to do their interviews.
Okay, good. So the founding pastor and his wife, and then the pastor that led the church through this went through. So I think that's great. It shows humility and, like you said, putting capital K kingdom above the just building your little kingdom. So I just commend you for that. So Colby, what's going on now as far as Pillar Dumfries and what the future of Stafford's going to look like? Like, where are we at now? And where the church gathers and those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things to kind of highlight about where we're at now. Like our process is in the Praetorian Project. When we're looking to plant a church, we want to know who that planter is, get them in a residency, get them developing in the context of their sending church. And so Mike started in May with us as a church planting resident, and really started his residency process just a few weeks ago in June. And for the next year or so is going through both the instructional, conversational, learning side of what we do and who we are, but also leading with us, pastoring with us, so that he can pick up the flavor of what Pillar Church is all about, how we minister to military families, how we talk about it, how we make hard decisions, just involved in kind of the whole process, so that it's not just theoretical for him, so that he can really own that and represent it well when he goes out in the future to lead a church planting team. And
so for Mike, he is still fully involved in the church, joined with Pillar Church of Dumfries, is in a church planting residency to get the DNA of Pillar and Healthy Church to be launched out in the future.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and to look at that, we don't know exactly what the timing is because of COVID and stuff. We've had a lot of ideas that were originally a part of it that have all been blown up. But the thing that hasn't been blown up is, we imagine, a year from now or so, Mike leading a church planting team of folks that have been a part of Pillar Church of Dumfries and excited about reaching this area, using this facility to plant Pillar Church of Stafford.
Okay. But right now, Pillar Dumfries, at some point in this process, lost their meeting location due to COVID and school systems. Yeah. And so what's Pillar Dumfries doing now for their meeting location and some of those types of things?
Yeah, it's a great example of just timely provision. We hit this spot where, everybody's online. And then we're starting to open up, and churches are thinking about in their own facilities, how are we going to do this carefully? And we're thinking, where are we going to do this carefully? And it was really tough to find throughout the spring any place. But we've been able to use this facility to gather our church together, and it's not that far from Dumfries to come down. It probably takes about 10 to 15 minutes, to come down from the north side of the base. And a lot of our church had we had a lot of folks even driving from Stafford north. And now we've added a significant portion of people that were part of Colonial, and so that's really allowed this to be a location temporarily for us to just sort of gather back together, feel things out for the future, and so it's been a really great provision for us in this season.
Okay, good. So what's the future hold? What's the goal moving forward?
Yeah, the goal moving forward is a multiplying church in Stafford County that loves the military community and is a part of our family of churches, where Mike's leading, but he's not leading alone. He's got other elders around him and folks who are heavily invested. And honestly, for me, if I were just speak really clearly, the goal is creating the opportunity for members of my church to plant a church. Yeah. And to not just hear about when Pillar Dumfries got planted or how Pillar Jacksonville and the people that moved down there planted Pillar Church of Jacksonville. I want the chance for 50 or more of our members to be able to go, I helped plant a church. My church cared about this, to have the experience of just the establishing a new congregation, just thinking through new ways of doing the work that we do, and man, leaving a church in this community that is a factory of discipleship for military families and civilians.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Maybe for each one of you, what's something really cool that you've seen, just God's hand in this as you've been involved in this process? Each one of you.
I think I would say just the peace going through the process. I think that the Spirit brought over us as it became very clear that the best thing for our congregation was to move towards Pillar for all these reasons, to reach our community, for health, for partnership and leadership and all of those things. And so it became very clear to me, even before the vote, that this was what not only I needed and my family needed, but what our whole congregation needed. And then to see, just the way that my in-laws embraced it and have assimilated into Pillar is, God is just amazing. Being able to meet here, meeting up on the field was fun until it got too hot, but then being able to come in here and meet in here, it's just, God is just so good, and it's just been such a blessing in my life, really.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like seeing Pillar Church of Dumfries, before this and through it, like our people just excited, rolling with what's going on. Like a lot of churches consternate over things like this. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen? And it's like, it's watching our people be like, oh yeah, that actually kind of makes sense, and and then be excited about it, embrace people, and make that effort. Like just the joy of being able to see people's openness to the new thing God might be doing, instead of just like we just want more of the same. Of what let God change what we envisioned our future look like, what we imagined being a part of this church was going to look like, and just embracing that, seeing that, and being excited about it. As an elder at Pillar Church of Dumfries, I can't think of anyone that's been a part of our church that has been critical of any of these decisions or anything. I know that a lot of them are, they're fairly big decisions.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Man, really cool to see this. We say one of the things in our tagline is we're a family of multiplying churches, and hopefully this shows that. There's this desire and this faithfulness to constantly looking to multiply, open to some non-standard ways of doing it, but then embracing one another as family. It was cool. I've been able to watch some of your services recently. I was able to worship with you guys recently, and Mike has been the service leader. Like, hey, welcome to Pillar Church. I don't know if you've slipped once or twice or not, but hey, welcome to Pillar Church. And so and doing the scripture reading and the prayer, and then one of the guys from Colonial Baptist was leading worship alongside on this stage, alongside of a mostly Pillar Dumfries praise team. And so just seeing that, welcoming one another in as family with this goal of knowing Jesus, making him known, multiplying. And so just seeing all that play out has been really cool to watch, and getting to know you and your family has been really cool.
And I think one thing I would sort of just use to punctuate it, this experience has enhanced everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Like in terms of our multiplication ability, our hopes for being able to, when I think about Praetorian Project, I want every person that's moving into this area from Jacksonville, from Oceanside, from Okinawa, to know that they can find a church in our family of churches wherever they decide to live.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's so exciting that we're on essentially for all practical purposes, we're kind of there, even though we've got to do the structuring work and the finishing the job kind of work for that. But there's an exciting mission in the Praetorian Project. If you get stationed at Quantico, whether you decide to live in South Stafford or you decide to live up in Woodbridge, and there's going to be a growing, exciting congregation ready to embrace you and help get you on mission.
It's really good.
Yeah, so as you think from the I-95 corridor from south of Stafford all the way up, so prayerfully soon to be Pillar Stafford down here, and then Pillar Dumfries, and then Pillar Woodlawn, and then Pillar DC. And so this huge concentration of military folks up and down the I-95 corridor from north of Fredericksburg up to DC. Really exciting to see.
Yeah,
That's cool. Cool. All right, well, hopefully that brings you more into what's going on. If maybe you've heard some rumors or some speculation about what's been happening with Pillar Dumfries and Stafford and Colonial Baptist, hopefully this helps you kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, see what's going on. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you're just watching this and you're like, what in the world is the Praetorium Project? You can learn more at praetoriumproject.org. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's good.
So we're ready when you
I
are.
don't have my questions written down, but
That's all right.
I can
We're gonna-
edit it if I need to.
Okay.
Does that, so if we need it.
Yeah.
Good?
What do you use to edit it?
Like, usually like iMovie, just
Yeah.
simple cut, splice. Good?
Yeah.
Unless
Sure.
you want to donate me an editor, then I can.
Editing person, you mean?
Yes.
Dan.
Dan.
Cool. Good?
Yeah.
All right.